Hey, how are you doing? It's Erica from Wallace House Designs, where we teach you how to up your painting game with simple, easy to execute painting tips and tricks. So today we are painting a leprechaun door hanger attachment. And I feel like there's an echo, so if there's an echo, y'all let me know and I will try my hardest to make it go away. Let's see. Oh, I know that there is an echo. So we're going to fix that. Okay, so the echo is fixed. Let's go ahead and get the painting. I do this every time. There's always one thing. You know what? We're going to use this right here. That's fine. That's what an apron is used for, right? All right. I'm just going to use my apron. I don't feel like getting up and not painting with y'all. So let's go ahead. So we are streaming to both Facebook and YouTube today. So stinking scared about that. Never done it before, but we're going to go ahead and do it. And while we're waiting for our friends to pop on, if you are watching the replay, I want you to put #replay and tell me where you're watching from. If you're watching from where I'm here in really close to Shreveport, Louisiana. So if you're here from Shreveport, Louisiana, I'm just going to put a little bit of paint up here on my paint palette. I don't have my paint palette today, but this will work just fine. I'm using an angle brush. For an attachment, I do size down in brushes. Just because if you paint with a brush that's way too big for the project that you're working on, it's really hard to get really clean, nice, crisp lines. You really need to kind of get a feel for what sizes that you feel most comfortable with. This is my favorite. This is about a 1/4 inch, I believe. No, it's a 1/2 inch angle. Hey, Pam. I get to see you here in just a couple of months at Southern Adornments Live. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I've already got my roommates planned out. It's right there around my birthday. I'm going to pretend that it's my own personal birthday party. So excited. So how are y'all doing today? It's Friday. And you know what? I'm excited because Mr. Wallace is home today. So I get to spend some in the daylight kind of. I don't really get to see him during daylight a lot. Because he works for a car dealership, and we all know that those can be some crazy hours. Hey, how are you doing? Don't be scared. We all love you. Oh, I love every single one of you too. Every single one of you. So if you don't, okay, so if you're so used to me painting a door hanger size, if you look at my hand, this is really tiny compared to a door hanger. This is what you would call an attachment size. It's about 9 to 10 inches, depending on where you're going to be putting it, or really what the shape is. This is a pretty much, it's as tall as it is wide kind of thing. So it's probably closer to 9 because 10 would be massive for what we're going to use it for. So this would go on a porch leaner. So if you see this thing right here, this little piece of wood right here, this is my 4-foot porch leaner that we brought in during a storm, and I just haven't put it back out yet. And then I have a 6-foot porch leaner. It's a piece of lumber that you put like the word welcome, but the O is missing. And this would replace the O. And we all know the pinch me holiday is coming. So please don't pinch me. I'm Irish. And I do. I have a little Irish in me. I think we all do. I think by now in 2022, we got a little bit of everything in us, right? Hey, Grace. Hey, ladies. How are y'all? Jerry, my buddy. Hey, my Jerry friend. All right. So I really did think I was 100% prepared today. I'm missing my paint palette. I'm missing my dish towel that I like to dry. I like to use dish towels. I don't like to use paper towels. I like to reuse as much as I can to reduce waste when I'm painting, and I can't find any of them. My husband likes to wash them for me, but then he also forgets that they're used specifically for painting. All right, so I just did a good base coat of festive green. No, this is leaf green. This is leaf green. I just did a good coat of that. Is this upside down for y'all? Let's fix that. No, it's not. It wasn't when I first set everything up. Then I tinkered with everything. Hey, Christy. Watching from Denmark. That is my friend from across the divide. All right, so I'm using my apron to dry my, but it's actually working. It's working really good. I don't like to dirty up my aprons, even though that's what they're used for. Hey, Laura says that she has Irish, Scottish, Swede, and even a tad bit of bento. Ooh. Well, I'm a little Heinz 57 myself. I am Native American. My nose is itching, y'all. I don't know what I ate. Usually when my nose is itching, it's because I ate something I shouldn't have. And my whole face starts to itch afterwards. But it always starts with my nose. And so I am so sorry if I start really just in front of y'all. Okay. So I've got Irish, Scotch, British, some form of African. We haven't narrowed down what region. I did the ancestry. Whatchamacallit. Okay, so I'm going to take the same leaf green. I'm going to put a little dollop of daisy over there. We're going to take some primary yellow, and we're going to put it right next to it. I'm not going to need a whole lot of primary yellow today, and we're going to just mix it together. Okay, this is going to make our yellow green. That's going to pop in the middle. Okay, so we just need to make a lighter shade of green. And you want to mix a little more than you think you need. Whenever you're mixing something, especially when you're mixing a complete shade, like y'all know how I like to do what's called messy painting. I like to messy paint. Like I like to take two paint colors and just kind of dip my brush in both of them and just let them lay where they're going to lay. This is a complete new shade of paint that has just some dried paint in it. And we're going to paint this entire hat, this new yellow-green shade. And the reason I didn't grab a bottle of yellow-green is because I want all my greens to play well together. We're going to use a whole lot of green in here, okay? But they're all different shades. And we're going to shade, and we're going to have some polka dots, but they're all within the same color family. And if you use the paints that you already have pulled out for the design, you don't need every shade sold by the paint company, right? You don't need every bottle of every shade of green. You just need the primary colors that you're going to be working with. And then for your shading, mix your colors out of that and they will never clash. They will never clash, and you'll save a little money in the long run. Let's be real. If you just use what you got already pulled out for the design, you'll save a little money in the long run because you won't have 30 different greens. You'll have 5. You'll have your deep dark green. You'll have your light pistachio looking green. You'll have a nice grass green. You don't need every single shade. You just need to know how to utilize them to make them spread a little further. So I'm just painting the brim of this hat. Got a little Romo hair in there. My puppy. He's a German Shepherd and he sheds like crazy. So his hair is everywhere. Okay, so I'm just going to empty out the majority of this paint off of my brush, and then I'm going to come in. There it is. It finally stood up. Okay. I'm going to use the very tip of this angle brush. This is why I like an angle brush. It gets nice and tight as long as you take your time and gets a clean line. You see that clean line? Okay. How are y'all doing today? It's Friday, and here it's a beautiful Friday. We have had a very confused weather system here in Louisiana over the last couple of weeks. It's been crazy. There were lots more, and my great-great-grandmother was a full-blood Cherokee. We're Cherokee. You couldn't tell it from all of us. And see, that's where I feel like I don't fit in, because for me, I have Cherokee on both sides of my family. My grandmother, younger pictures of her, you could tell. The older she got, though, We joked. She had a very amazing sense of humor. It's where I get it from. We joked. We kept telling her that she was fading. It's like, you're fading. You don't look. You don't look. We always said Indian. I know that's a buzzword. I know it's derogatory in some situations, but we always, you don't look Indian anymore. It's like, I know it's politically incorrect, but we always said Indian. And a lot of people will apologize to me when they're like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, Indian. It doesn't offend me. And it wouldn't have offended her either. How are y'all doing? Okay, so here it's bright, sunny, beautiful. Don't even need a jacket. Lately, we've been having to carry a jacket just in case, because in Louisiana, you can wake up and need your Ugg boots, thick wool socks, and a heavy coat. And then by the time you're breaking for lunch, you're shedding every single one of those layers and down to your tank top. It is the most confusing weather ever here, and I love it. It's beautiful weather here. Because we do get the best of both worlds. We don't get a lot of snow or really frigid temps, but when it does get cold, it gets cold. And then we get some nice sunny days like today where it's perfectly spring outside. And then we get some nice hot days where they're perfect for going to the pool or going to the lake, and you just get to utilize that. I love it. Most people are like, ugh, I would never want to live there because of the heat. And I'm like, it creates this atmosphere of, like, get outside and go find a way to cool off. And it makes you seek having fun. See, Jerry's got some Cherokee. Gonna be 80 today. I know it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful. All right, so this is gonna be black. These are gonna be black. So we're gonna save those for last. We're gonna work on this hat though. And we're gonna work. Let me go ahead. Ooh, I didn't pull out any white. I knew I was going to have to get up. I'll be right back. Let me go grab some white. All right. It's not stark white because I don't like messing with flat black and flat white. I believe they make great bases. I have used them in the past, but lately when I've been painting for fun, I have found I don't like the starkness of white, black paint. I like to make a really dark charcoal gray or a really kind of eggshell white. And that's what this is. This is more of an eggshell white. We're going to knock off most of this. We don't need a huge. We're just going to base coat this right here. And I may have to bump down in brush size. Remember, find what you're most comfortable with. Although it's not going to matter because this is black. So if I paint over that, I'm more concerned about painting over that hat brim. I want to keep this nice and clean right here. And if I go over the shoe, it's not so much of a big deal because that's going to be black or a nice charcoal gray. And it'll cover up just fine. All right, so this is, I believe, bleach sand. That is the off-white that I really like to use whenever something needs to be painted white, but I want it to have almost an antique look, or I don't want it to be stark white. Stark white really pops, but unless it needs to be paper white, I wouldn't paint anything super paper white. I would give it some depth and give it an eggshell. Unless you're painting something, I'm trying to think of an example. There are a couple of colors that really pop against white. If you're doing black and white, do black and white, right? But if it doesn't need to specifically be jet black or paper white, opt for a shade dingier because it really does make a difference. You're going to notice a difference in this. Okay, so Terry says, hey, Terry. Ashley, you're just waking up. I'm very jealous. My body will not allow me to sleep in like that. It will not. I can make the time to do it. My body says, no, sister, not going to happen. Okay, so this is practically dry. We do need it to be dry to the touch. Does not have to be bone dry. We are going to take our angle brush, okay, and we need to make sure it is damp, okay? It does not need to be sopping wet, but it does need to be damp with some clean water. And we're going to take and put some of that leaf green. Where's my camera? Right here. And take some of that leaf green. And we're going to go around. We're going to build up an edge. We're just going to shade. We're just going to shade this. Okay. We're building it up. Okay. See how that gives it some depth right there. Now, if this light green was straight from the bottle, what I could do is I could put both colors on my brush. I could double load this brush and put the leaf green here and the yellow green there. But since I mixed that, I really don't want to tempt fate with it. I'm just going to double load my brush and make sure my brush stays fairly damp to where it blends. This is blending, it's shading, whatever you want to call it. This is really just a float. It's called floating. It's a shading technique that's called floating. And all you're doing is you're floating this darker color into that lighter color to give it a nice shaded edge. So we're going to dampen our brush, tap it off. All we're doing is we're just getting the majority of that water out. We just want it to be damp, not sopping wet. And we're just going to finish shading this around. It's a quick, easy way to add some really good depth to your paintings. Okay. So do you see that? Let me see if I can get it where there's not a huge shadow. Right there. You see that? Looks really good. I mean, we're not done yet, but we're about to put some polka dots on, and it's really going to make it pop. Now, let's work on the brim, okay? With the brim, you don't necessarily, let's go ahead. Your brush dries out really fast. That water evaporates really fast because it soaks into the wood. If you're working with paper or wood, canvas will do it too, but a lot of times you prime your canvas, and when you do that, that kind of creates that barrier to where it's not going to soak up your paint. Well, it'll soak up your paint. So you really need to make sure that you're keeping an eye on that. And you're dampening your brush. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm taking my brush and I'm working it around see that darker edge going around? All I'm doing is I'm taking my brush and I'm flipping it around. So I'm just going, whoop, I'm just turning it around. Now let's dampen my brush again. Every time you bring your brush up from the wood, you need to double check it and make sure you don't need to add some water. I've been missing you. Glad to see y'all. Okay, so we've been doing some traveling over the last couple of weeks. So I've been a little MIA, and I did not bring anything to set up. I could have done it, but it would have been a very awkward high school dance for all of us, right? It would have been that really awkward first dance before everybody gets comfortable with the dance floor. That's what it would have been like. And I don't like, so I was like, you know what? I'll pop in when I get back. And I've been back. I've just been enjoying being back. I'm not even gonna lie. It's been crazy around here. I'm not even gonna lie. It's been Mardi Gras. And although we did not partake in a lot of Mardi Gras festivities like we normally do this year, we really, as a family, decided to take a break. Our friends that we normally go to parades with, we're actually going to be in the parade. The big parade that we like to go to. We like to go to one of the Saturday parades. We're not real big on the Sunday parade because, I don't know, we kind of reserve Sunday for Jesus. And although it is a family parade, it can get kind of rowdy. And by the time we get out of church, we're exhausted. So we always, if we're going to partake in some a parade here in Louisiana for Mardi Gras, it's always a Saturday parade. And this year we just decided, let's not. Since our buddies were going to be in the parade, we were going to stay off the parade route. Okay, so look at that. So now we've got some shading. Now, you see this little spot? You see that little spot where it's kind of patchy? I'm not worrying about that. Now, had I known I'm not about to do had I known I wasn't about to do polka dots, I would have so totally touched that up before I did some shading. But I know I'm about to do polka dots. And I can cover that up with a polka dot. No biggie. Okay, so we've got this painted. Let's go ahead and add some polka dots. These are going to be straight from the bottle, primary yellow, okay? It's kind of my gold color. Okay, so we've got primary yellow on our palette up here. So we've got our bleached sand, primary yellow, leaf green, and then our yellow green. Now you see how that does not clash? And watch, when I add the yellow dots, they're not going to clash either, because I took the yellow that we were working with, I took the green that we were working with, and I married them together, and I made a nice little baby. And so the baby doesn't clash because the mama and the daddy matched, right? Did you enjoy your trip? I did enjoy my, we took a couple of trips. I enjoyed both of them. We had a blast. There was snow on one and there was a lot of rain on the other, but that's okay. I'm going to take a little bit of this bleach sand and I'm going to help this yellow across. So I'm just going to take just a little bit, okay, and put it off to the side. If you notice, I'm keeping true straight from the bottle petals and I'm leaving them alone. I'm not bringing them in. I know a lot of people like to bring them in and mix colors in. I like to keep straight from the bottle petals just so I know that they're uncontaminated. Now, whenever I mix a color, I like to put colors side by side and work them in that way, okay? So what I'm doing is I have, oh, well, that's contaminated, so I need a new straight from the bottle petal. I don't need a huge one because we're not going to be working with this color a lot. All right, so this color does have some trouble being super opaque. And when I do polka dots, I don't like to do polka dots multiple times. I like to do it once and roll on. Okay, so there's that spot. I have found if you wet your area first, then it works better for me. Oh, you mean like, okay, so wet the area. Okay, so that's wet on wet shading or floating or painting. And that is my favorite kind. I hate waiting for paint to dry. Not gonna lie, but I get a cleaner look this way. I love wet on wet shading because I feel like you said it just works better. It just works better. It flows better. But they do make something called blending gel or floating medium that helps you get that I don't want to say the word atmosphere. That helps you get that sensation of the paint underneath being wet, even though it's bone dry. If you put blending gel or floating medium in your brush as you're working, doing the technique that I just showed you, you'll get that sensation of wet on wet, but you'll get this clean look of floating. I just wanted to play around today. I really didn't mind. I haven't painted with y'all in a while, and so it's like, I kind of don't mind spending a little extra time sitting here letting things dry. Now we're going to go up to the brim, and we've already painted this, so we need to protect it if it comes down to it. Remember, this right here is going to be black, so no big deal. We can, yeah, it had polka dots. I was looking over at my example. It had polka dots. So, all right, so I'm going to just... There's a little bit of a curve to it, so I'm just going to put a little curve in my sticky note just to kind of help things along. Okay. I'm just picking up both colors. I did not mix them together. I just kind of picked a little half up here, and I'm just sitting here, what I call priming my polka dot. We're going to go back to this one and redo that. Get it more opaque. And then we're going to put one here. And put one here. And we're going to put one here. There we go. That's all the polka dots that we're going to need. I can go ahead and put this in my water so it doesn't dry out. I know they're cheapy ones from the Dollar Tree, but they can, you know, get the job done for a couple more projects before they start falling apart. Let's go ahead and blow dry this. Let it fall. It fell on the ground and not my cloth couch. that should be fairly dry. Again, we're not going for bone dry. We just want to make sure that we're not going to bump it with our arm and smear it, right? So if we want to, we can go ahead and start base coating these black. We could. I want to go ahead and mess with these socks first, okay? So I'm going to find a smaller brush, a smaller flat, maybe a 1/4 inch flat. Aha, this is perfect. 1/4 inch angle, something smaller than the 1/2 inch that we're working with. And if I can scrape the paint off, this is a number 6 flat. So it's fairly small. It's probably about 1/4 inch. We are going to add the straight from the bottle leaf green, okay? Nothing fancy. Move my scrunchie out of the way. Nothing fancy. We are just going to add some stripes. And the reason I like to use a flat is because the flat gets nice straight edges. And if you have to go back over the same stripe a couple times, it's not that big of a deal. If this was a door hanger size, I'd probably bust out some painter's tape. I'm going to skip about the width of my my flat brush and put my next stripe there. You should get about 2 stripes per sock. They don't have to be perfect. I mean, think about it. Our little leprechaun could have some wrinkles in his sock. And if they're not perfect, that's what we blame it on. And if someone's standing at your door or at your porch leaner and they say, ooh, your stripes, they're not straight, you're not my friend and you're not coming to my house. That's just my attitude. If they're sitting there judging how straight your polka dots or how straight your stripes are or how round your polka dots are, they're not our friend. And they don't get to come in our house. Did you learn a lot at my masterclass? I did. I learned so much and I made a lot. It's really hard for me to make business friends that aren't door hanger artists, that aren't painters. And I got to meet people outside of the painting world. And it was really, I just kind of get stuck in my own world. And this is my world. I love my world. I love painting. It's my life. I love it. But sometimes I just want to know what else is out there. I want to know what other people are doing. I'm nosy. And so I got to feed my little nosy mom for a little bit. And I got to see kind of the behind the scenes of what other industries do and how they roll. It's really nice. Okay, so that's straight from the bottle black. We're not playing around with that. We're going to take a little bit of this bleach sand and we are going to mix just a shade lighter than straight from the bottle black, okay? So I like just to use the back of my brush and use that as a mixing tool. People are still going to see this as black, okay? No one's going to notice that it's charcoal gray because we don't have stark black or jet black contrasting with it. We will at the very end when we do some outlining, but it will not be super, super noticeable. So all we're going to do is we're going to base coat our little shoes. Okay, I can put my scrunchie back down. Okay, when I want to get nice and tight on the edges, I knock the majority of that paint off my brush. I go ahead and just wipe it off right there. Okay, so I'm loaded up, wiping it off. And then when I've got just enough on my brush, I come in on the chisel, which is the very, okay, so this right here is the flat. So the flat, and this is the chisel. I come in and I kind of draw with the chisel of my brush. Okay. Now I know this is charcoal, but nobody else is going to notice it's charcoal. Their eyes are going to see black. Okay. Now I do this on purpose. And this is how I design as well. I'm going to show you why I did this. If we did black, that's as dark as we can go, right? That's as dark as we can go. We have to be able to add in some way of shading to give it depth. If we didn't, then these shoes would look really flat and really one-dimensional versus all the work we did down here, right? And look, we've got this buckle down, the sash and this buckle down here. That's going to make a huge difference. if we can add some shading to it. It's going to be very obvious that we didn't do any shading if we don't, because we did a lot on this hat. All right. And if you notice, I'm not being super careful about not getting paint on the very edges. I'm about to show y'all a little tip or trick. I like to, how I clean those up without having to like go back with my brush and go boop, 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 boop. No, we don't play that game. I have something that I really like to use, and I'm going to share that with y'all today. Okay. So there's our black shoes. See, they look black. In real life, up to me, they do look charcoal because I know I mixed that paint. Okay, so now let's do the sash. This little ribbon around the hat. Remember, go up on the chisel. Get really nice and tight on that edge. Okay. I don't have my glasses on, y'all. I read slow when I don't have my glasses on. Pam says that is, you're such a great, you have such a great talent for being an instructor, and it's such a fun way. Oh, Pam, I love you, Pam. Pam, you always know how to make someone feel good. You could literally pop in and say, the sky is blue, and it sounds like a compliment to me. Like, that's how, when Pam enters the room, that's how I feel. I was like, oh, the sky's blue. Thank you. I worked really hard on that. Like, she makes you feel like you did something to make the day better. Thank you, Pam. This is my favorite part. Like, if I could teach all day long, I wish I could sit on Facebook Live and just paint and spend time and just, but it would get boring after a while. I promise y'all, because eventually I start retreating back into my own little world up here. And I start talking to myself. Does anybody else talk to themselves when they paint? I think that's why painting online is so easy for me, because I see comments and I associate, when I see your name, I know your face, because a lot of you I've met in person. I know who I'm talking to, but it's so easy because I tend to talk to myself a lot. Now, I don't answer. Well, I do a little bit. I answer myself a little bit, but I talk to myself a lot, so I think it makes it just a little easier for me to be the crazy person that could be completely comfortable being on this camera all day long and just painting and teaching and having a good old time. I need to add a little water to my brush because it is dry. And my paint is dry. That was a lot of water, but that's okay. We'll make it work. What kind of goodness do we, oh no, it's just a straight sash. Okay, so all we're going to do on this is some shading. I gotta let that dry a little bit. That was a lot of water on my brush. I thought I was minimizing how much I put. I thought I just did the very tip of it. Nope, that's a lot of water. So let's see if we can put this on low. Everyone loves, I'm telling you, Miss Pam is like everybody's grandma. You feel like when she pops in on a Facebook Live, she popped in with a whole tray full of freshly baked oatmeal raisin chocolate chip cookies that were just for you. How much paint I already have on my hands. That's such a great design. Oh, thank you, Debbie. This is from Erica's Template Tribe in January. So if you don't know what Erica's Template Tribe is, if you notice that we release designs every Tuesday, this Tuesday we did not because of Erica's Template Tribe. So a part of Erica's Template Tribe is here. I'm going to pull this out. This is what I'm looking at to remind myself how this thing is painted. So if you're part of Erica's Template Tribe, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to talk to y'all and let that air dry for a minute because there's a lot of water in there. Morning, Mary. So Erica's Template Tribe. This is every design in January, right? This is everything that we released in January. And I believe, oh, you need to calm it down, Mr. Roma Dog. Nobody's coming to attack us, I promise. Okay, so these get released to Erica's Template Tribe members on the 1st of every month. I mean, it used to be at 8 a.m., but let's be real. It's really hard to get something done at 8 a.m. when you're trying to get 2 little ones out the door to school. So you get it at some point before 8 p.m. on on the 1st of every month. Well, the 1st of March just so happened to have been a Tuesday. I release designs every Tuesday. Well, a perk of being an Erica's Template Tribe member is that you get to see these before the public. And there's only a few times where the 1st and a Tuesday land on the same day. And so I have decided that those just don't get released until the next day. Erica's Template Tribe members get the opportunity to see them the entire month, not just the 5 that got released that day, the entire month. They get to see them and have access to them, and they get them in JPEG, the mock-up. Okay, so they get them in PNG. I don't get PNGs out unless you're part of Tribe. If you want to make a t-shirt, say you want this little guy on a t-shirt or a tea towel, or if you want to put them on a cup. I've had a lot of people put some of these designs on cups. Like this one right here is a great cup design. You don't get access to the PNG unless you're a Tribe member. It's an exclusive perk. I don't sell PNGs. You have to be a Tribe member. You get every single design. So this is what, 20, I believe we did 25. No, 27, I believe. There's 6 on that page. 4 times 4. No, this one was a 20. You get 20 to 25 designs, but I always give bonuses every month. So you could get 22 designs. You can get 27. You can get, different versions. This month there were different versions of a design. So you get the design and you get different versions of it, like different wordings, or like there was a baby one where you got the boy version and you got the girl version. So there's perks. There's some really cool perks to being a Template Tribe member. Working and watching. So all you have to do to be a Template Tribe member, if you want more information on Tribe, all you have to do is put the word Tribe in the comments, and I'll come back and I'll give you the link to where you can learn more about it and you can register. When you register for the next month. So if you register today, your first Tribe bundle will be April 1st. And so on April 1st, in your email, you'll have an email containing every single design that's due to release in April. You'll have it on the 1st of the month instead of having to wait every single week to see which 5 I'm going to throw out there for you. You also get it at a reduced rate. So instead of for $5 a design, you get it for about $1 a design, and you get them all. So it's $30 a month, and you get every single design in every single format that I offer, plus PNG. So if you want more information, make sure you put the word Tribe, and after I go live, I'll make sure to go back and I'll put a link to where you can learn more information, and you can sign up if you want to be a part of April's bundle. Now, you'd still have to keep up with March's releases because March is already closed. They've already been released, and Tribe members are already painting. There are some people painting some of these designs live. They've already got some of their Door Hanger of the Month clubs planned out because I do things like this was released in January, so I work ahead. So say you have a Door Hanger of the Month club and you want to have a design planned out ahead in advance. This was released in January. St. Patrick's Day isn't until mid-March, right? I always make sure, and I release a little bit here and there throughout the winter to make sure you have all of your stuff ahead of time so you can plan. Those are for the people that want to plan. Oh, thank you, Jerry. So Jerry went ahead and dropped a link. Okay, so that is dry enough. Let's go ahead and do our shading, and then we're going to do some gold. I'm really excited about the gold. We're going to do actual gold buckles, but we need to do some shading on the shoes and the hat, ribbon, sash, whatever you want to call this. Now, this is where Straight from the Bottle Black comes into play. This is when it makes a difference. So we did a mixture of the bleached sand and the Straight from the Bottle Black. This is just lamp black from Deco Art. And we are going to make sure our brush is wet, not sopping wet, just damp. Okay. Oh, my stomach is growling. Me and Mr. Wallace are going to go on a lunch date after this. So if I respond to your text message, just know I'm on a date. If I respond to your Tribe link, after we go live, just know that I am sitting at a table with my husband. We don't get to go on dates very often. A lot of times we have to plan them during the day because we don't like to take away time with our kids. So we are going to just add a little bit of black. Now this black goes a long way. Other colors, I'm trying to get a good, I don't necessarily want a half and half float. So I'm just going to trying to get just a little, there we go. That's what I want. Because it will travel into your brush. And black is very, very strong. It really is a showstopper. So you don't need a lot. You just need, and when your brush is wet, it floats into your brush. So you don't need a lot. You just need enough to make it show up. So we're going around, and I actually broke one of my rules. When a float has to cross, so when they have to cross, right? So we've got floating going this way, we got floating going this way, and then we got floating going this way. What I like to do, unless it's continuous like this where it's rounded, these have sharp corners. What I like to do is I like to come this way, let that dry, and then I come back in with a second layer of floating, and I come this way. Okay, so let's do that right on the second go round. Let's add some. So we picked our brush up from the wood, so we need to reload it. And I'm just taking my time. I get a lot of questions on how my float, a lot of people have to reload midway through their float. And I will tell you, I use very little pressure. I'm not dropping a lot of paint in one spot. I'm using very light pressure. If I want the float to kind of venture down a little further, I'll come down a little bit and continue my float just underneath that. Okay, I still have a good bit of paint on my brush. So there's my shading. The black is really hard to tell in camera. I'll take a picture afterwards and put it in my stories, and you'll be able to see it better there. So just a little bit of water. Tap it off. Just a little bit of black. Blend it in. Now let's do the bottom brim, okay? I'm doing nice short strokes. So when you do nice short strokes, you can come back in afterwards and lengthen them up and make them look a little more seamless. So I do nice little short choppy strokes. And then I come in and I clean them up and make them seamless. Okay. See how it's just a little darker on the very edge of that, little darker. Now right here, what you're seeing is dampness. That's going to dry down to the original color, okay? So I'm going to clean my brush. We're going to blow dry that, and let me show you what I mean. Oh, Pam, you're getting all the loving today. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's work on our shoes a little bit, and then we'll come back down and we'll do this. I really want to give these two lines a really good chance to dry before I start manipulating them even more. So I've got a clean brush. We're going to add some black. Okay. We're going to start. I'm a directional painter, so if you see me kind of scooting this thing all around, that's why. I really need, my hand needs to be in a certain position, especially if I'm floating. Okay. Okay, so this is a curve, so I'm just going to go curve. And I'm not really going to go across that toe line because we're about to work there too. So we're going to start here and we're going to curve back because this is a curve. It's not a harsh line. There we go. Okay. Now let's work on this little area. This is where a paper towel does come in handy. When you're floating, paper towels soak up water so fast. That's about the only time I really do grab for a paper towel. Okay. Go. There we go. So this one over here looks really wet. It looks like the paint went all the way down here. It's just water. If you look over here, it's already started to evaporate. All you see is all that shade that we put in there. Now, do you see why I went ahead and mixed a gray, like a really charcoal gray, and I flooded with black? That's why I do it. Nobody's going to be able to tell that that's not black. They're going to assume it's black because it's shaded with black. And it's still going to look really good. Doing the block in the light color, doing the black in the light color and the shade in the dark is a great idea. I'm telling you, one of my best tips that I've ever picked up from painting, watching other people paint, because I pretty much have self-taught myself my hand. I've never sat in a classroom, but I have watched other painters paint. Bob Ross. I didn't sleep very well as a kid. I used to stay up late at night and watch him paint. And that was ASMR before ASMR was a thing. He was my ASMR. He would put me to sleep, but it would take hours. And I would watch the joy of painting for hours before my little brain would just shut down. Now he and I do not agree on one thing, and that's the pulling your paint down. He typically worked with oils, and so with oils, I'm sure that is the proper technique. And with a lot of people, that is the proper technique that they've been taught. I don't like to contaminate the straight from the bottle paint. I'd much rather make a completely different puddle. Now, remember, this is a harsh line. This is a harsh corner. This is a straight corner. So I'm going to let this dry before I come and do this bottom section. But I have watched a lot of people who specialize in flowers. And that is one thing, that is something I picked up from floral artists, primarily watercolor artists from back in the day. I mean, back in the day, a lot of my instruction is not new instruction. You will see some very old school techniques that I incorporate. Now, I am a lazy painter, so you will see me water it down because I don't like to sit for hours and paint on one thing. I'm an instant gratification kind of girl. I want it done now. I want to see the final result in an hour or so. I don't want this project to span days. And that's just me. I mean, I can base coat something and then say, oh, I'll finish it tomorrow. No big deal. I decided to do that. But I mean, let's be real. We finished a project in about an hour. We've been painting for 45 minutes and we're about to finish this thing. That's my speed. I want to see when I sit down to work on something, I want to know I have the opportunity to see it finished by the time I'm ready to stop painting. And so, I there's some old school techniques, but some of those techniques take a lot of time. And so I simplify them. So in the Paint Studio, which is a group where I teach simple painting techniques to help you take your painting to the next level. I have taken some old school techniques and I have simplified them to where anybody can do them. And then we also go over some really cool paint techniques that you would have never thought of. So, it's probably my favorite time of the month is whenever I get to sit and I get to paint with Paint Studio friends. All right, so I'm going to go right behind this buckle and just add just a little bit of shadow, okay? Just a little bit of shadow on each side of this buckle. Not a heavy float, just the very tip of my brush. I'm just adding just a hairline shadow of where that buckle's going to sit. It may even get covered up. All right, now let's shade the bottom of the shoe. Add some water because my brush is dry. Now, when you tap off the water, you want to find a spot where it's still a little wet from the last time you tapped off your water. It'll give you a more consistent dampness on your brush. And the first couple times, you're really not going to be able to control that. But as you paint along, you're tapping off water on something that's already a little damp. It can only pull so much water out of your brush, and it'll give you a more consistent dampness on your brush to make it easier to paint with and easier to control and know how much water is in your brush every time you go back to do it. Okay. And there we go. We are fully shaded. We're about to work on those buckles and we'll be done. Buckles and some accents if we need it. When you do this much shading, a lot of times you don't need to pull in the paint pens. But I brought them just in case. I don't think we're going to need them, but we might add a little bit of white here and there. Terry says, I'm like that, but when it takes longer, I'm sick of it by the time it's done. I'm telling you, I want it done in about an hour. 2 hours is my breaking point. I understand there are times where I'm asking for the world when I'm asking that, right? All right, so we're going to mix this a little bit. We're going to take I don't like mixing with the bristles, but I did it anyways. So we're just going to go ahead and put like a nice little bit of this bleach sand. It'll help distribute the yellow and make it a little bit more opaque. We're going to paint over the buckle of the hat and the shoes. And you can totally stop after that because in the mock-up it's yellow, but I want it to be gold. So I am just fussy painting, which means I am just carefully painting around inside the lines, keeping it inside as if I was coloring in a coloring book, but I'm coloring with my paintbrush. The cool thing about floating is that it dries really fast. So there's not really much opportunity for you to screw it up because that's what I tend to do when I do a lot of wet on wet, which is my favorite way to paint, but I tend to make myself very frustrated because I will drag my arm through it. So I love floating, and it's my favorite thing to teach because it builds so much confidence. When you get the hang of floating and you see how much depth, I mean, look at those shoes. You already see the shape of the shoes, and I haven't even put the buckles in. I haven't even done any outlines, right? You see depth without having to do a whole lot of extra detail work. And I really do think that it takes your painting to the next level when you're not relying on a paint pen to tell your customer's eyes, or that your visitor, if it's hanging on your front door, if it's not telling your, hey, this is where the shape is supposed to be. If your painting does the talking, it really does help amplify not only the quality of your work, but your confidence in your work. Okay, so now we're going to do the buckles on the shoes. And I did not add the float on the buckles, and I should have. For some reason, I felt like these buckles went all the way across. Oh, well. We could probably sneak them in there at the very end. Let's see what it looks like. So I'm just using my little mixture of bleach sand and primary yellow. Being very careful to keep really nice, clean, crisp lines. I'm not using a lot of pressure. I'm really just pushing this paint around on the very chisel of my brush. So I'm getting really nice lines. It's when you use pressure and you start pushing that, like forcing that paint around, that's when it can get kind of messy and kind of gloopy. You really want to be kind to it when you're trying to fussy paint something in. You want to be really gentle with it. That's why I always save all the fussy painting for last, because it's where you have to take your time and you got to be tedious. And by about this time, you're a little tired. You're at the point where Terry's like, I'm done. I want to see it. Like, I'm a little over it by now. I'm not over it, but I'm getting there. I'm ready to see. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're like, dang it, I want to be at the end of the tunnel. I want to know what's over there. So that's where I'm at right now. Like, I am trying to slow my roll because my natural reflex is like, hurry up and paint it, hurry up and paint it. I want to see the end result. Really got to take your time. Take your time. Do it right the first time. Okay. So you could totally stop here. You could totally stop here and you're done, right? Make sure that's nice and opaque. It's kind of patchy for me. If you look real close, that's kind of patchy. You take your time, do a second coat, seal it, done. Put it on your door, put it on your interchangeable door hanger, put it on your porch leaner, done. I want these to be gold. So I pulled in Extreme Sheen 24 karat. And we are going to blow dry this. And what the bleach sand primary yellow mixture did was it gave us a really good base coat for this to adhere to. And to really, the black was going to be way too dark. It's going to brass it out a little bit. It's going to make it a little brassy. Ashley. Okay, so Ashley says she wishes she could paint that fast. It seems like when she sits down to paint, it takes longer and longer each time. I'm going to brag on you for a minute, Ashley. It's because your techniques have changed. You have gone from one style of painting to a more detailed style of painting over the last year alone. I've watched you grow. And it takes you longer now because you're putting in more detail. A lot of us start off with what I call blocking things off and using the paint pen to do all the detail, right? That's really fast. And that's where we should start. All right, we're just gonna put a little dollop there. But after a certain point, we should graduate from that unless that's exactly what we want. It is definitely a style that is very sought after. So there's nothing wrong with it. But eventually we crave something new, and I can tell you've craved something new, and you've really blossomed with it. So you put a lot more detail into your work than you used to, and your techniques are actually you get the job done in a pretty decent amount of time for the work that you're putting in. So kudos, girl, kudos. Let's see. Cindy, I'm excited to get to meet you at Tamara's event in July. Cindy, I'm excited to be able to meet all my new friends too. I'm going to be meeting up with some of my old friends that I've met in person before. But I've met so many new people over this last year online, and I'm so excited for those that are going to be there. There are 2 events that I'm going to be at. There is one, the Southern Endorments Live. That's in July. And then I have one in April that's for Bless Your Art. So if y'all go to Bless Your Art by Ashley Del Rosario, go to her page. She has an event that they are putting on. I believe it's a 2-day event too, and I am a guest painter at that one as well. I will also be doing some business brainstorming because y'all know my jam is to help you if you have a business. Well, I think we're going to be doing breakfast brainstorms where we eat breakfast and we work on our business at the same time. So we'll have multiple opportunities to chit chat and get to know each other even better. There's something about meeting someone in person. You can talk to them online all day long, but there's something about meeting them finally in person that just really brightens up the conversation. And you really, when you talk to them again online, now you have a face, you have a voice. There's something about knowing someone's voice that you can hear it when they type something on, like when Miss Pam types something in those comments, I hear her sweet voice. When Ashley, I know the way Ashley, I know her inflection in her voice because I've talked to her multiple times. I know some of my Miss Bonnie, I know the way they talk. So when they type something, I can hear it. You know, like it makes it more personable. Terry goes, I am blown away by the black idea. Like, really? This is honestly what the watercolorists that I have learned from over the years. That is probably the biggest tip that I have picked up from them. And I have not been incorporating it because like in my brain, I was like, well, that's just for watercolors. That's just for watercolors. And I have done it on canvas. It really does make, because your canvas is white, right? And so in my brain, I was like, yeah, but this is like free edge. I can use black, and black is so easy to use. And then I realized I was never shading anything black. So I figured I'd pass that little tidbit on to y'all. Now we're done. Y'all look, okay, so let's take a vote. Do we need black and white outlines? Do we need them? Or are we good? I will do whatever y'all say. Gotta go. Love yourself. Oh, bye, Christy. You are my kind of teacher. Well, I don't really classify myself as a teacher. I mean, I do. I mean, this is what that is. Let's be real. That is the technical term for what we're doing here, right? But I'm really just hanging out with y'all. Let's be real. We're just hanging out. We're besties. What else do you have up your sleeve? So many things. And Terry, you get a front row seat because you're a studio member. You are in the Paint Studio fam. Hashtag Paint Studio fam. Thank you so much for the tips. I'm learning. I'm in learning mode. Ashley Richard is amazing. She is a wonderful painter. I learn a lot from her. She has some really good tips. She has really good tips on how to get your brush in spots because she likes to paint things that have like really sharp points. She gets her brush neatly in spots where I'm like, that gives me hives just thinking about it. So if y'all really need like ways to like get in somewhere or to like paint something in, Ashley's really good at that. I learned a lot from her. She is very hard on herself. See, I'm not the only one that says it, Ashley. I love watching her. She has become such a wonderful friend. Oh, well, okay. So Terry says, I'm assuming that's Terry saying no black and white. No black and white. No black and white. We're about to go full face mode and get rid of table mode because we did this in an hour, y'all. If you want to hear my voice, I could call you and talk LA. I think you say talk away or talk all day. I'm the same way. I know people are like, why did you call me when you could have texted? I was like, no, why didn't you call me? I love hearing people's voices. I want to do a Zoom party in our studio. Terry, would you be down for a Zoom party? Because I'm thinking it's time. We haven't done a Zoom party yet, and I really want to do a Zoom party. All day. Okay, good. My paralegal proofreading skills kicked in there. I think our little leprechaun is fine, to be honest. I think it's fine. Okay, so I have enjoyed hanging out with y'all. I'm going to go ahead and go full screen. Okay. Look how cute. It's so cute. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and seal it. I'm going to take it outside. I'm going to seal it. There's multiple ways you can seal this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on something like that, but I have a 6'1". If you have an interchangeable door hanger, say you do, some people call these minis. I like to call them minis. They're also attachments. I call them attachments as well. Or you can put them, if you have a tiered tray, this could be like a bigger piece to a tiered tray set. This could be, you could put a little pick on the back of this, and this could be a garden stake pick. If you have a garden pot that's covered underneath your porch and you really want to zhuzh it up with some St. Patrick's Day swagger, you could definitely put like a little paint stick. I would do some Gorilla wood glue, paint stick, bam. Real cheap way to get you a nice little garden stake. Alrighty, I think that's everything. I think we knocked it out of the park today. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna seal it. I think I'm gonna do a spray sealer. Usually on my smaller pieces, I like to do a brush-on sealer. But I think I'm going to do a spray sealer because I want it super glossy. And I'm going to put some industrial Velcro on the back, about right here. I'm going to put it on my porch cleaner. It's so cute. I love how he turned out. All right, y'all. Well, I enjoyed every ounce of hanging out with y'all today. It was my first live over on YouTube. So if you are following me here on Facebook, I invite you to go follow me on YouTube as well. There's some really cool tutorials that are a little more organized over there. Everything that I paint online over here is shuffled over there as well, and you can search it a little better. So if you're looking for something specific, that might be where you want to find it. If you're over on YouTube, you can come hang out with me on Facebook because I give way more announcements over here on Facebook of where I'm gonna be, when I'm gonna be painting live, and what's coming down the laundry chute for upcoming events. And I will give y'all a little teaser. We have a virtual paint party coming up at the end of next month that you can register for at the end, starting next week. Starting next week, we're gonna be opening up registration for it. And on April 1st, we will be opening up the group for it. So if you want to go ahead and get all the information on how to register for that class, Paint Studio family gets in for free. So if you're a Paint Studio family member, do not pay for it. You get it for free. And that's why we're waiting for April 1st to release it to the public as far as getting into the group, because I want to make sure y'all get in the group before the public does. But that is coming down for April. So I will talk to y'all later. I will give y'all more information on that the next time we go live. And I'll update y'all once this thing gets hung up on my porch cleaner today. See y'all later. I love y'all. Bye.